to attempt to speak a language that you don't know very well, or to refrain from speaking in a language that you don't know very well? That is today's question. So I obviously live in the United States, and English is the predominant language in my country. I also live in the South, which means that I am in close proximity to Mexico, which means that there are a decent number of Spanish-speaking individuals that I encounter on a fairly frequent basis, where perhaps English is not a language that they have learned, even if they've lived here for a number of years. Now, I did take 2 years of Spanish in high school and 2 semesters of Spanish in college. I still don't consider myself even remotely fluent in Spanish, but I know enough to greet people, and I know enough related to the physical therapy that I do to be able to make a basic introduction, to be able to explain in very simple terms, this exercise is for your balance, or I need you to lay down on this bed for a test. Very, very basic things. Are you hurting? Are you having dizziness? Basic things. And here's what I will say. Every single time I attempt to speak to somebody in my very broken Spanish, I feel like a complete idiot. The end. I feel red in the cheek. I feel embarrassed. I feel like I must sound like the dumbest person in the whole world. But I'll tell you why I still do it. And I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Please share your thoughts with me. Have you ever attempted to speak with someone in a language that you only knew a little bit of it? If you were the person who was maybe in the minority language in a different situation, what were your thoughts if someone was attempting to try to communicate with you in your language? I really want to know how you all feel about this. All I can express to you is my experiences with this. And so this is what I personally have experienced. When I worked we used to live outside of Atlanta. There was a very, very large Spanish-speaking population in that area. And this was in the days when I worked retail. And it had somehow made its way through the department store that I knew some Spanish. And what my coworkers, very well-meaning, but very stressful to me, especially at only 19 years old, what my coworkers did was they started directing every Spanish-speaking person who came into the store to come to me with their questions. And I turned so red, you would have thought that I'd had an instant sunburn. I felt like a complete idiot trying to speak to these people in their own language, knowing that what I was saying was not exactly fluent. Fortunately, when you are learning to speak another language in school, some of the things that you're learning are articles of clothing, how to ask how much something costs, how to give change, how to give directions. And these are all incredibly useful when you're working in a department store. So I was able to, clunk my way through at least being able to help the people who came to me. And that is what I kept telling myself over and over and over, was if I did not make the attempt to try to answer their questions, to help them, to give them directions, that nobody would. And my thought was that broken Spanish was better than no Spanish, and any help was better than no help. And it didn't matter how embarrassed I was going to do my best to help. And it was very, very embarrassing. But here is what I was met with. What I was met with in every single one of these situations was that the people that I was speaking with were so kind. so kind to me, to encourage me, to tell me in Spanish, your Spanish is so good. And I'm thinking, it is not good. And you are the sweetest liar there ever was. But I appreciated them. They say, dígame, tell me, keep trying. And that's what I would get every single time, was them encouraging me, smiling at me, giving me a hug, telling me I was doing a good job. Keep going, keep going, keep going. If I was apologizing, I'm sorry, I'm trying to think of the word, they'd say, it's okay, keep trying, keep trying. And that informs how I approach this situation today, even in my job. There is an interpreter line, and I absolutely use the interpreter line when appropriate, because my patients deserve the best care that they can get, and it is not appropriate for me to assume that my broken Spanish is good enough in a healthcare setting. So please don't mistake what I'm saying. What I am saying is that even if there's somebody there who can interpret for me, there's a family member, or I worked in an outpatient setting where we had someone who was interpreting for us on site. Here's the thing, is if it's so easy to get into this habit where you're having a conversation with the person who's doing the interpreting, and you never ever look at the person or acknowledge them or make eye contact with them or in any way communicate. There are many ways to communicate that don't involve speech. You're not communicating with the actual person, with whoever it is. It's almost like they don't exist. And to me, that is not what I'm going for. It's not what I would want. I would rather be embarrassed because I'm attempting to communicate with them and to show them that I care enough to try, that I'm going to at least say the few things that I can say to let them know I'm a person, you're a person, I'm trying. My Spanish isn't any better than your English, but by golly, we're gonna get through this together. And I have just always been met with so much appreciation and encouragement. And I had a patient the other day where this came up. Her husband was there. He spoke perfect English, but she did not speak any English at all, really. And when she walked into the room, I just said, hola. And her husband said, oh, you speak Spanish? And I said, no, solamente un poquito. I only speak a little. I want to set the expectation from the beginning. I'm not fluent. This is going to be embarrassing for me. But I still, even with him there, able to perfectly interpret for me. I wanted to show that patient she's a person. I recognize her as a person. I want to be able to speak to her directly as best I can. And then I relied on him to fill in the gaps or correct me if I made a mistake. And I just want to share this with you guys because I think it's important. And I think it's important to hear it from somebody who's not great at it. I'm not great at Spanish. I can say really, really basic things. This exercise is for your balance. This is to help with your dizziness. We're going to do this exercise 20 times. I want you to do these exercises 3 times a day. I can say basic things related to therapy, and I do make an effort to expand my vocabulary or to review it. Let me even tell you how I pull up Google Translate every time, but the effort is worth it. And to me, it's worth it to put my ego on the line and to be willing to be vulnerable and to be embarrassed if it's going to help bridge a little bit of a gap there for a person who might very frequently feel marginalized and ignored and made to feel like they don't even exist. And I'll give you a very small personal example of when I was on the other side of this that also helps to inform my decision in this situation. I studied abroad in Paris my first year of college. There's a very long story for another day that involved me getting on a train in the wrong direction and ending up in Marseille, which is a part of France at the time. I don't know about today, but at the time, where basically nobody in the entire area spoke one word of English. I was scared out of my mind. I was honestly thinking there was a possibility I was going to be stranded in Europe. It got scary. We'll save that story for another day. But I will tell you that the person that was willing to do their darndest to speak what little English they could to me, to, in my opinion, save my life by helping me figure out how to get where I needed to get, because my flight to leave the country was in 8 hours. It's a whole story. We'll go there another day. But it made all the difference in the world to me. And so I always want to extend that to other people when I can. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. So please, please, please tell me all the things in the comments. And this will be a great conversation. Maybe we can continue for another day. All right, that's my topic for today. I'll see you next week. Bye.